spoiling way too much. Also wenn das die Abzweigung ist und das GPS falsch ist, ja, dann müssten wir links fahren.
Das ist einfach falsch.
There's a lot of zeros. The hardest thing is to get out of Dar, especially if the police is regulating the traffic and not the traffic lights.
We are going on a round trip on the northern border of Tanzania, from Dar es Salaam to the Usambaras Mountains, then Mkomazi National Park, and eventually the Pare Mountains and back.
Apart from myself, there will be Jürgen and his family, Thomas, and my daughter Lynn.
We're starting in Dar es Salaam, then go via Bagamoyo, and the Arusha road to Korogwe, go up to Lushoto.
After some days on the plateau, buying supplies on Irente farm. We are descending on the northeast side of the plateau to Mkomazi National Park, which is little known. It's between the Usambaras and the Kenyan border. From there, we attempt to return via the Pare Mountains back to Dar. Rolling hills and breakdowns. It's the new road from Bagamoyo to the Arusha main road. Quite nice, very fertile, no traffic. Uphill to Lushoto. Nice to build a Luftkurort. Fresh air and eucalyptus. Irente School. This is the Irente Empire. School, church, viewpoint, lodge, farm, camping ground.
Une certaine alchimie secrète.
Like the ashram of Lushoto.
Not all of the farm is in working order though, and some parts clearly need repair.
Librement le temps d'une nuit, sans lune, sans lune.
Meanwhile, we are setting up camp in those parts of the farm which do work very well. While this was the perfect campsite, it was also the perfect campsite for a bunch of tiny, very aggressive ants.
This is the pre-dinner or high tea, kind of. Fleischleibchen, deutsches Brot, Pizza, also Pizza gibt es bald nicht mehr, weil Darwin schnappt sich jetzt einer. Scheiß aufs Filmen. Fantastic morning, lots of birds here. Fog just reached up to the point here where we are, to Irente farm, and it's hovering about 10 meters or so below us. It's quite fascinating. What is particularly nice about this farm is that they have a lot of organic food that they produce, make nice brunches, fresh rye bread, mulberry jam, which is fantastic, homemade cheese. So it's basically like outdoor high cuisine. Already everybody has a cough, so after breakfast we're heading for the witch doctor. I hope there is one in this village. Speaking of the Mganga, it seems there's already a ceremony underway. They call it Sodom apple. Yeah. We just have to locate where it is. kind of special eggplants.
The skin of this tree they make shoe polish from the skin of this tree.
Here's the fridge again, Mr. Fridge and the fridge. It's a love-hate relationship. They are totally dependent on it.
Ja, Mr. Martin,
They are addicted to meat and cold beer.
Das letzte Mal sehen. Er sagt, da bringst du mir ein Stück Butter mit, oder? Und da habe ich versehentlich
This fridge has now failed on about 3 safaris.
Eigentlich sehen die Teile identisch aus.
Just $1,200 for this fridge, so it's relatively cheap. That's why probably the quality is so low.
Easy to fix.
Easy to fix, yeah. You just need a couple of screwdrivers, ideas, fuses, advice, and what else would you do on a campsite? I mean, you could read and eat and whatever, but fixing the fridge, the fancy fridge, look at this display, I mean, it's amazing.
Das war die lange, die eigentlich nicht drin war.
Ja, genau.
Working on a dual battery system.
Kannst du mal gucken?
Wow, and here we see the very fancy mounting plate for the fridge.
Jetzt tue ich es zuerst mal einstecken, bevor ich das einmache. Okay.
And it will be plugged in. And now we can see.
Die Kamera am Laufen.
Now we can see if the display is lighting up or not. Is it?
Das geht überhaupt nicht rein.
Okay, so the fridge is already failing again because the plug does not able to be inserted.
Geht gar nicht rein.
It can only be a minor thing.
Ja. Ja.
Reicht.
We soon continue north to Mambo Viewpoint.
Okay, so we can put it in the fridge here,
Kommt noch mehr.
in our special fridge. Passion. This is Pashini. Here again in a cloud of dust behind us. There ain't no much trees left, it seems. Sawmill. The sawmill is taking its toll and the maize growing.
Du kannst dir vorstellen, wenn das rote oben alles weg ist, hast du nur dieses Aushändigstein, das helle und da rechts.
That's basically the different layers of rock, and you see the very thin soil on top, the red one. It's like 1.5 meters only. And the rest is rock, and if this is washed away, it's desert. We have the same GPS, Garmin Montera. So far, very disappointing device. I bought it primarily because it's the first Android-based GPS and you can load some cheaper non-Garmin maps, but mine is at least constantly failing. And despite entering the same targets and using the same settings, the GPS sends us on different routes. So we still have to wait on every junction. Adventurous roads over some almost deserted landscape. Nearly no biggies here anymore, which means the area seems to be rather poor. And the soil, of course, is in the worst shape here from what we have seen so far. It's quite tough to film with one hand, to steer with another hand, and to pray not to fall down. It's quite a view, huh? Kind of Pajero Plus area. Okay. It's really a scenic road.
Pitching our tents on a ledge, quite exposed and overlooking the plains of Mkomazi.
Ist Nutella gesund? But Thomas said that these herrings going very gently and softly into the ground, which might not be such a good sign camping on the edge here, especially with a 2-ton vehicle. Fireplace.
With the lodge manager, we're discussing the descent down from Mambo Viewpoint to Mkomazi, and enjoyed the guaranteed only filmed sunset over the plains towards Arusha. Next morning, again the plains are covered by mist, creeping up to the plateau. To protect these valuable beer bottles, Jürgen comes up with a unique way of packing them.
These are special Swiss beer boxes. Papa's Flasche.
And from here we will go down via Pare to the Kamakota Gate and enter Mkomazi National Park. Descending from Pare, the road gets rough and sometimes steep.
Very beautiful. Higher pressure. Okay.
In some curves we had to reverse, and we did not meet a single other vehicle until we reached the main road again. We are glad not to be driving uphill on this steep and bumpy road. It would be no pleasure.
Kind of the mountain road. Now we seem to enter kind of a river valley. Seems this road is not very accessible in the rainy season. Maybe. Quite funny. This is certainly the way.
Once done from Pare, we negotiate the path through dry riverbeds and confusing bush trails. Here in the valley between the Usambaras and Pare mountains, we are surprised by the sudden changes between very arid stretches and fertile greenland.
Was?
An ostrich.
Yeah, it will be evening when we reach Sange. Now we are approaching the Kenyan border and it looks like there are mountains. An hour the campsite now. No ranger here.
Ja, also ich denke, also gut, wir werden ja jetzt hier fahren, oder? Der möglichst schneller Weg hier. Und dann gehen wir hier auf Sange, gehen wir bezahlen und dann schauen wir, wie spät es ist. Ich schätze mal, wir müssen dann irgendwo hier übernachten.
Since Kamakota Gate was not an official entry point to the park, we were forced to reach Sange Gate and pay there by evening, which took us 8 hours from Mambo Viewpoint, where we encountered the tallest types of antelopes and the smallest.
Da hat jetzt auch umgedreht, oder?
Near the airstrip of the Rhino Reserve, we are getting a bit lost. We reached Sange campsite by late evening after some orientation problems and decided to move to another campsite the next day. Sange has good facilities, water and toilets, but it's not exactly charming.
Tu n'es pas là, tu n'es pas la même, tu n'es plus la même aujourd'hui. Mais tu
Most animals were extremely shy and it was clear that a lot of poaching is going on in this park, most likely even out of cars.
ne sais plus.
We first intended to stay at the Vitivini campsite, but were driven out by a lot of tiny, quite aggressive bees.
Tu n'es pas là, tu n'es pas la même, tu n'es plus la même aujourd'hui. Mais tu n'es pas là, tu n'es pas la même, tu n'es plus la même.
We picked one of the two Dindira campsites, which were much more to our liking.
Tough day driving through the rest of the Mkomazi National Park. Small frog on my tripod. A herd of zebras, some elands. Not really a lot of traffic on this tiny lake.
We soon find out that Mkomazi is less about animals and more about landscapes, shades of clouds and the gentle movement of light over quiet plains and elusive mountains.
We camped on different campsites this night. One at the it was posted in Dira campsite, one at the lake on a hilltop where we camped, and Jürgen camped under some very big trees nearby, a few kilometers apart. Now it's weekend, so we've seen some tourists, not so many, but there are tourists, 2-3 other vehicles in the park.
This is the road up the Pare South Mountains.
It's a nice road, but a bit rough. I would prefer sand. Already much colder than in Mkomazi again. Sollen wir hier stehen bleiben? Ja. Having slight issues with the bushes now after this bumpy road, but we are almost at the junction to Kisiwani and we'll stay in the Tona Lodge if it still exists. We are here in the Tona Lodge in the Pare Mountains, and we're going now down to the valley between the Pare South Mountains and Usambaras, which is again a rather rough road. 11 o'clock and it's still relatively cool. My GPS shows the left road, which would be here the left one, but what does it say, Gonja?
Left.
Yeah? Okay. I guess we're going down, huh?
Maure 15 Kilometer.
Maure? Schule? Ha.
Jürgen.
Fahren wir dort nicht vorbei.
Well, we need to go left and down, no? I mean, die Abzweigung ist bei mir gar nicht dabei.
Once again, our two Garmin Monteras disagree about the exact routing.
Also wenn das die Abzweigung ist und das GPS falsch ist, dann müssten wir links fahren.
Die Karte ist einfach falsch.
Geht die runter und die geht rauf.
Sieht bei mir woanders aus.
Ja, wir müssen ja, das geht ja auch runter, das geht ja wieder rauf.
Ich sehe Konja links.
Ja, gut, machen wir das.
The road is much softer and more sand, less stones. And maybe because they are repairing it.
Und dann schreiben sie auch über den Park,
Kevin,
dass wir
Anna,
wenig Gäste haben, 20 Gäste pro Monat.
Red roads.
And then, because no time was left anymore, we drove back to Dar in one long day from the Pare mountains. We were pleased to hit real smooth tarmac again, after this safari of landscapes and not too many animals.
This road was built by Austrian, almost not corrupt company Strabag.
Man is a singular creature.
It is nearly perfect.
He has certain gifts which make him unique among the animals, so that, unlike them, he is not a figure in the landscape, he is the shape of the landscape.
Perfect.
We are all children of Africa. Children of Africa. They say this is where it all began. This is where it all began.
In a parched African landscape, man first put his foot to the ground, to the ground, to the ground, to the ground.
These beings with soaring imagination eventually flung themselves and their machines into Africa.